From London, this is The World Today.
Hello, I'm Sally Burdett. Our top stories this hour. More countries urge their citizens to leave Lebanon urgently amid growing fears of a wider war in the Middle East. More than 100 people arrested as far-right rallies and counter-protests spread across the UK. Search and rescue efforts continue after a mudslide buried a village and collapsed a highway bridge in southwest China. And gymnastics gold and silver for China as the athletics track gets set to take center stage. We'll be live in Paris. More than a dozen countries have now told their citizens to leave Lebanon amid fears that Iran may be about to hit back at Israel after the killings of top Hamas and Hezbollah figures in the region. France, along with the United States and the UK, has told its nationals to leave Lebanon urgently, warning of a highly volatile situation in the Middle East. Iran has vowed retaliation against Israel, which it blames for the death of Hamas political chief Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran on Wednesday. His assassination came hours after Israel killed Hezbollah senior commander Fouad Shukr in Beirut. CGTN's Jonathan Regev is in Tel Aviv.
Israel is in a very high level of preparedness since pretty much Wednesday morning, since hours after these attacks, which you mentioned, the killing of Fouad Shukr in Beirut, which Israel claimed responsibility, and the killing of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran, which Israel kept completely quiet about, but is widely attributed to Israel. Ever since, there's high level of preparedness here and sort of nervousness because of the uncertainty of what might happen. Israel is quite sure that some kind of retaliation, both from Hezbollah and from Iran, will come. How big will it be? What will the extent be? That is a very big question, and Israel on the defensive end is ready for any situation. But if you go around in the streets, there's no special need or no special feeling up in the air when you walk up in the streets, but clearly some nervousness among people as reports are constantly coming saying that everybody should be prepared for an attack coming both from Iran and from Hezbollah. Just about an hour ago, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, speaking in front of soldiers, said that whoever attacks Israel should be prepared for a very strong retaliation coming on behalf of Israel. Will that impress Iran and Hezbollah after 9.5 months of back and forth with Hezbollah? Not exactly sure, but at least on the defensive level, Israel is ready for whatever might happen. Israel has been waiting for this for pretty much 4 days. So far, nothing, but there's a clear understanding that some kind of a reaction from Tehran and from Beirut will eventually come.
And meanwhile, Jonathan, we're hearing 2 people have been stabbed to death in a park in the city of Holon. Is this being seen as linked to these tensions at all?
I'm not sure, because these attacks in Israeli cities have been ongoing all the time. Way before this war started, the city of Holon, a southern suburb of Tel Aviv, and as you mentioned this morning, 2 people were stabbed to death. The perpetrator was also eventually shot and killed. Events in the West Bank and in Israel proper coming from people who are from the West Bank. The perpetrator in this case was illegally staying in Israel. Originally is from the West Bank. These are things that have been happening all the time for years and years, way before the war in Gaza, way before the tensions with Lebanon. So yes, it can perhaps bring more tensions to the West Bank and to Israel proper, but those tensions were already here way before anything started, and I would not expect these kind of tensions and these kind of actions to end anytime soon.
Jonathan Regev in Tel Aviv. Now at least 3 people are reported to have been killed after Israeli shells hit a refugee camp near a central Gazan hospital. CGTN's Akram Al-Satari has the latest.
The shelling of the refugee camp took the life of 3 Palestinians and injured several other Palestinians. And the latest news about the ongoing strikes that have been taking the life of Palestinians came from Gaza City, where an Israeli bombardment targeted 2 schools in Al-Nasr neighborhood, killing around 30 Palestinians. That happened around 45 minutes ago. Those shelters that were targeted, according to the Palestinian government media office, they are the shelters number 172 to be targeted. 30 people were killed, dozens others are injured, and according to the Palestinian civil defense, most of the people who are killed and injured are children. The schools used to accommodate thousands of Palestinians, families who are seeking refuge in those areas and who are hoping to be safe. According also to some Palestinian health officers, no place safe in Gaza, no one safe is in Gaza. This is the word or the sentence that has been repeated hundreds of times in the few last weeks, and they are still being repeated by the people. The bombardment is also continuous in Khan Yunis area, according to the citizens and also according to some international agencies. Citizens in 6 different areas in East Khan Yunis received phone calls and also received notifications asking them to leave their homes, which portends of another large-scale wave of displacement in Khan Yunis area. So the situation is still catastrophic, and the bombardment and the targeting are still continuous, not only in Khan Yunis but also in Deir al-Balah in central Gaza, in Gaza City, in the Gaza North, and in Rafah as well. So overall, tension and overall an increased number of injured, killed and destroyed houses in all over the Gaza Strip.
Akram Al-Sashri in Gaza there. Let's move now to the United Kingdom, where the Home Secretary has warned that those involved in criminal disorder and violent thuggery will be brought to book. More than 100 people have so far been arrested after a series of violent clashes that took place across the UK on Saturday. A number of far-right protests descended into rioting. John Beaver reports.
At more than half a dozen locations across the UK, demonstrations turned to violence. Far-right protesters gathered to call for tighter immigration laws, but some started fighting the police or counter-protesters. Tensions have been high since 3 girls were killed at a dance class in Southport in northwest England last Monday. The suspect was born in the UK, but misinformation quickly spread online, claiming he was a Muslim immigrant who'd recently arrived in the country. Police have blamed much of the violence on the English Defence League, whose supporters have been linked to football hooliganism and Islamophobic ideologies. Senior police officers have condemned the rioting. The Chief Superintendent of Northumbria Constabulary described it as not being a protest, but unforgivable violence and disorder. In Nottingham, in the English Midlands, protesters and counter-protesters were out in force.
People are fed up of being told you should be ashamed if you're white and working class. Well, I'm proud white working class.
Well, I'm here because, you know, there is an attempt to exploit a very tragic situation. This is a sort of nationwide protest that we've seen come out of nowhere. And Nottingham is a multiracial city, and we want everyone to feel comfortable in their own city centre.
Security has been increased at many Muslim places of worship across the UK. The policing minister said that the protests meant people felt unsafe because of the colour of their skin. After the violence in places like here in Bristol, the new Home Secretary has vowed a swift and robust response. She said that communities must feel safe on the streets and promised that there are consequences for breaking the law. John Beaver, CGTN, Bristol.
At least 76 people, including 13 police officers, have been killed in renewed unrest in Bangladesh. Thousands of protesters have returned to the streets, calling for Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to step down. The latest violence comes as people demand justice for more than 200 individuals killed during job quota protests last month. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are at odds over how and where their first presidential election debate will take place. The Harris campaign agreed to ABC News on September the 10th in a slot previously scheduled for Trump and President Joe Biden. But since Biden has dropped out of the race, Trump is now pushing to debate a few days earlier on Fox News, a network popular with his followers. A wildfire wreaking havoc across California is now the 4th largest in the state's history. More than 6,000 firefighters are battling to contain the blaze in the Central Valley, with high temperatures and strong winds complicating efforts. Thousands of people have been evacuated and hundreds of homes destroyed. A 42-year-old man has been charged with arson. At least 4 people are dead and 16 injured after a mudslide struck a village in Kanding City in southwestern China's Sichuan province. Local authorities are conducting a search and rescue operation to find the missing people. Jen Yu Chong has more.
I'm now actually arrived at the affected village, which is Ridi village, that locates in Kanding City, Sichuan province, where the mudslide took place at around 3:30 on Saturday morning. As you can clearly see behind me, that the mountain here is quite steep. It's 5,000 meters above sea level, and this village especially is located at an valley, and it's at an altitude of 1,300 meters above sea level, which is pretty much 4,000 meters drop, and being sandwiched in between these two mountains, which you can imagine how frequent this kind of landslide would take place, especially in this area. As of 11 o'clock last night, the press conference confirmed that 4 people were dead, 23 are still remain missing, and 16 people already been sent to the hospital. But luckily enough, no one is life-threatening so far. And the local river chief also told me that they've already been telling the local villagers to evacuate 10 minutes before the mudslide, as they realized the river water here already become muddy amid the heavy rain. So far, 300 firefighters already been dispatched to the scene, and we also got the local authorities, which is the governor of the Gaza Tibetan Autonomous Prefecture, share us with the latest rescue operations as well.
Currently, we have made all-out efforts for search and rescue. More than 1,400 rescue personnel were dispatched with rescue equipment and a helicopter. And we have relocated over 900 residents. Another priority is to ensure the safety of our rescue operations and make sure no casualties occur from secondary disasters. We are making efforts to ensure smooth traffic on rescue routes.
The rescue efforts are still under its way, with 10 rescue teams are already working at the site. I will still be staying in this village and take out more information to bring you the latest update.
You're watching CGTN. Still ahead, Swedish table tennis legend Jan-Ove Waldner talks to CGTN about the star performances in the sport at this year's Olympics.
Ever wondered what's the difference between a bear and a bull market? Where are the cash cows? And who are the lame ducks? And what exactly are black swans? Grey rhinos? And unicorn companies? Make sense of it all with Global Business, only on CGTN.
I think it should be more global cooperation.
I would like to hear more the voice of the developing countries.
Globalization has lifted more than 1 billion people out of poverty.
The green transition has to happen. It's a necessity.
Well, China and the United States are important powers in the world.
What unites us is much more than what divides us.
And I believe China is committed to this agenda.
Join me, Juliet Mann, to set the agenda at these times every weekend on CGTN.
This week on Razor, making food from waste wood.
We take these wood chips and during only 20 to 40 seconds, it's turned into something like this.
For the same amount of fats and oils, we would use 10 times less land to produce and 10 times less CO2 production if you compare with animal fat production.
Welcome back. A reminder of our headlines. More countries urge their citizens to leave Lebanon urgently amid growing fears of a wider war in the Middle East. More than 100 people arrested as far-right rallies and counter-protests spread across the UK. Search and rescue efforts continue after a mudslide buried a village and collapsed a highway bridge in southwest China. Well, there are 20 gold medals up for grabs on day 9 of the Paris Olympics. Kristen Faulkner of the United States has just claimed gold in the women's cycling road race. Algeria's Akalia Nemour stunned on the uneven bars, claiming the first gymnastics gold for an African nation. But the glamour event of the day is the men's 100-metre final. Our correspondent, Tony Waterman, joins us now from Paris. Hello, Tony. So much going on, but really the crowning glory of today is going to be who is the fastest man on Earth.
Yeah, it certainly is. We're only 2 hours away from the semifinals, where we're going to have 3 heats. That is going to whittle down this final race, which is going to take place 90 minutes later. So by the end of the evening, we're going to know who the fastest man in the world is right now. The favorite right now is actually American Noah Lyles. He's Thompson, who holds the record right now for this year for the fastest run time in the 100-meter. He is just an absolute superstar, so it's very likely that this race is going to come down to between both those men. There are no Chinese athletes that are competing in the 100-meter this year. China's sprinting superstar and Asia's fastest man, Su Bingtian, is sitting out the 2024 Summer Olympics because of health problems. He had actually placed 6th and made a personal record back in Tokyo just 3 years ago. The men's race that we're going to see tonight actually comes 24 hours after we saw this phenomenal upset in the women's 100-meter race. St. Lucia's Julian Alfred clinching the gold in 10 after this all happened, understandably. And back home in St. Lucia, there were massive celebrations, the Deputy Prime Minister even getting in on the action. She has now made it through to the semifinals for the 200-meter sprint for the women. That's going to happen on Monday, and then the finals will take place on Tuesday. It's possible that we could see a double gold medal here. I mean, it's not unheard of. Team Jamaica did this in Rio and Tokyo, so it is just such an exciting time, an exciting part of the Olympics. These very fast, intense races, just, you know, often sub 11 seconds.
Incredible. Thank you so much, Tony Waterman in Paris. And as we said, the much anticipated men's 100-meter race takes place later on Sunday. Fans will be hoping to witness new records. Our correspondent Siobhan McCall has been looking at how the sprint time in the men's 100-meter has improved over the years.
The first ever time for the men's 100 metres at an Olympics was set in 1896 by US sprinter Thomas Burke. He recorded 11.8 seconds at the first modern games in Athens. Records before 1912 are considered unofficial. Or fast forward to 1968, and the first man to officially break the 10-second barrier was Jim Hines. The American clocked 9.95 seconds to win gold at the Mexico Olympics. That world record stood for 15 years before Calvin Smith broke it, setting a time of 9.93 seconds. Carl Lewis became the first sprinter to take the record sub 9.9 in 1991. He ran the 100 metres final at the World Athletics Championship in Tokyo in 9.86 seconds. The record dropped under 9.8 in 1999. Maurice Green at the World Championships in Athens. And in the early 2000s, a new superstar entered the race to become the world's fastest man and sent records tumbling. Jamaica's Usain Bolt broke 3 world records at the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games, including 9.69 seconds in the 100 metres final. And a year to the day later, he obliterated that at the World Athletics Championships in Berlin, running 100 metres in 9.58 seconds, a moment that many consider to be one of the greatest sporting achievements of all time. So who will be next? Well, some experts think Bolt's time will never be matched, especially as no men's sprinter this decade has run faster than 9.7 seconds. But could that be about to change?
There were more medals for China in the gymnastics events on Sunday. Liu Yang won the men's rings final, while Su Xingyuan took silver. The women's team also claimed a medal. Chu Qiyuan won silver in the uneven bars final. China has now won 6 medals in artistic gymnastics, 1 gold, 4 silver and a bronze. There was drama in the semi-finals of the women's badminton singles. China's Hu Bingzhao went through to the final after Spain's Carolina Marin had to retire. Marin won the first game convincingly, but suffered a knee injury in the second. The crowd gave her a standing ovation after she struggled to contain her emotions. Swimmer Katie Ledecky has staked a claim as one of the greatest Olympians of all time. The American won the 800-metre final on Saturday, claiming the 9th gold of her career. She's now tied the record for the most golds by a female Olympian. Ledecky has won the 800-metre event in each of the last 4 games. Novak Djokovic has won his long-awaited first Olympic gold in the men's tennis singles. The Serb faced Spain's Carlos Alcaraz, who beat him in the Wimbledon final just a few weeks ago. It was an epic battle in Paris. Both sets went to a tiebreak, but Djokovic took the title in just under 3 hours. And a quick look now at that medals table. The wins in the gymnastics and table tennis take China to 18 golds, 15 silvers and 9 bronze. The US has moved into second place with 16 gold medals. Host France have nudged into third, with Australia now in fourth and Team GB in fifth. Jan-Ove Waldner is a Swedish former table tennis player. He competed in 5 Olympics, winning the gold in the singles event in 1992. I asked him about the table tennis men's final between China's Fan Zhendong and Sweden's Truls Morogård today.
Yeah, I think it was a really great match from Truls, and everyone in Sweden are so happy for his tournament. He was playing fantastic all the tournament. He beat Wang Lixing, and then in the final with Fan Zhendong, who is so strong mentally and also very powerful in the game. It was, I think the chance was for Truls that he should be up to 1 in sets. After 1-2, it was difficult to come back.
All right. Talk to me about a little bit more about Morogård, because him reaching the finals is quite an achievement. In fact, no Swede has done that since 2000, when you claimed silver, and of course before that in 1992 when you won gold. The Chinese are brilliant at table tennis. What do you make of Morogård's performance, and what does it take to beat the Chinese?
Yeah, he showed that he could beat Wang Lixing, who is also the #1 ranked in the world. So, I mean, to beat 2 Chinese, from the 2 best Chinese now in the same tournament is very difficult. But like I said before, you need a little bit luck and also play on his level. But I think his best level, and I think in the final he played a really fantastic match. I think for table tennis it was also a fantastic match. But the serve win for Fan Zhendong, he's a great player.
Talk to me a little bit more about table tennis in China. They take it incredibly seriously. It's the national sport. What can other countries learn from China? Is it the coaching techniques? Is it the government support for the game?
I think it's a mix from all. You know, in Sweden we have only 10,000 table tennis players, and in China they have 30 million or something who's playing. So it's difficult to compete with them. But you can also now see in the rest of the world that it's many new players is coming up, like Lebrun, who was coming to #3. He's only 17 years old. So I think, and he's from Europe also. So it was 2 European players in the top 3 now in Olympics. So it's fantastic result for Europe, and also fantastic tournament in France, in Paris. And it was really great that Lebrun was also making medal from the French team.
Do you think that table tennis is a growing sport? I'm thinking of your compatriot getting to these finals. Is it something that's going to spark more interest in table tennis, or is it actually a sport on the wane?
I think we're on the way up again, because in all sports you need good competition, and this time we could give quite good competition with the Chinese. The problem was before, always the Chinese was always too strong the last 5, 6, 7 years. They had no one to really have big matches with. But now we show that not only Trost Mellegård, we have also some other player who was coming up. And I think it was the perfect Olympic Games for table tennis. Completely full all the time. It was nearly the same like playing China. This is probably the best country to play table tennis in. But in France was fantastic now, so I'm very happy for the sport. And I think many other sportsmen was coming to watch our sport, so I think this is a big thing for us now.
In other Olympic news, after beating host team France in the final round of Group A matches, the Chinese women's hockey team is eyeing an Olympic medal in Paris. China will now take on Australia in the quarterfinals on Monday. In the lead-up to the showdown, our correspondent Peter Oliver spoke with China's captain and her teammates.
Off the back of a dominant win against host France, I'm joined by some of Team China's hockey players. Congratulations, well done on the win. How much confidence does it give you going into the quarterfinals, knowing that you've just beat the host nation so convincingly?
Our excellent performance on the field is the result of our continuous hard work and effort. We were also able to fully apply everything that our coach taught us.
It's fair to say it didn't start too well for you in the pool stages here at the Olympics. Do you think that those defeats to the Netherlands, to Germany, to Japan, that they've really spurred you on and given you a sense that you can go further now, that those results are behind you and the only way is up?
Facing such setbacks is also a part of growth. We need to go through these experiences to perform better in the upcoming matches.
Now, we were just speaking to your coach, who was telling us that you're a very tight-knit group, a very strong team spirit in the camp there. Talk us through that. What's it like with the team together? What do you get like as a team, as a group?
The most important thing for a team is solidarity. We move forward and work hard towards a common goal, and we also hope to perform better and achieve even greater results in the upcoming matches.
Best of luck for the quarterfinals. All the best there. 团队 heads up. Beyonce.
And that's the world today. Thank you so much for watching. We've got more news at the top of the hour. Up next, it's Reza. For now, from all of us here in London, goodbye.